Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the first season of the underrated anime Sword Art Online.
It's really underrated.
Yeah, I think it is, because we hear so many people, say, oh, it's a terrible show, it's the worst. One of the worst, some people consider it one of the worst anime ever made.
Well,
not sure why.
You just have bad taste.
Now, I'm not sure why.
In the year 2022, that's not far from now, thousands of people get trapped in a new virtual MMORPG called Sword Art Online.
2 years we gotta deal with this now.
The only way to escape to beat all 100 floors. The only way to escape to beat. The only way to beat all 100 floors of the game. And if they die in the virtual world, they die in the real world.
Which is terrifying.
Well. Yes. And the lone wolf player, Kirito,
Keith,
works to escape.
It's Keith. Keith. Okay, before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on future podcasts and roll to pause videos.
First, Bryce Pepperbrook is awesome as Kirito.
Mm-hmm.
He convinces me that he's Kirito.
Right.
And he is my favorite character in this anime. And I love Asuna too, voiced by Cherry.
Right. And Bryce Pepperbrook is also doing voices on Attack on Titan as Eren.
Of course.
And Miraculous Ladybug as Cat Noir.
Yes, and many, many more.
Yes.
He's also on the new one,
Not Dragon Age.
No, it's on Netflix.
Drifting Dragon.
Yes, Drifting Dragon. So, yay! This was recommended by Phoenix. Thank you, Phoenix. Yes, once again, you have led us to an awesome anime or an awesome movie in some cases. We absolutely love it. It was a little slow for us to start. Before we got to episode 5, we were kind of like, this is not what we were expecting. This is kind of shaky. But when it got to episode 5, then we were hooked. Mm-hmm. And it really turned it around for us. And I think it turned around the series on a whole level. Because up to season 5, it was kind of going every which way in that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like pointing in any direction. You were kind of seeing haphazardly seeing these different people that were there, and so many of them in the beginning of the game were getting killed off.
Right.
And not until episode 5 when we saw him actually do a quest with someone.
Right.
And
join a guild.
Right.
Guild.
You really said, okay, this can go somewhere. This really was a different episode. This really was a strong episode. Let's stick with it.
Right.
And I'm really glad we did.
Right. And for here, we have heard about this anime a few times, but really were vague on what was it supposed to be about. Mm-hmm. And for here, already the concept was already pretty dark. You think, it could be exciting, just oh wait, no, they get taken out. It's oh wait, this is permanent. So it's like the game that's not really a game.
But you have to also remember or know, if you haven't seen this, is that these players did not willingly go into this game knowing this would happen. They were tricked. Once they got in, they realized that the death was permanent. If they had known that, then of course, probably hardly any of these people would have done the game.
Right. So yeah, it was actually, it's once it got started and the ball was rolling, all the way from that point on to the midway point and then to the end of the season, it was escalating in the events and the dangers and life-threatening events and stuff. And one of the things I think is one of the complaints for Kirito or for the show was that no matter what happened, he could get through it. He had no flaws. But he did. I guess they weren't crippling like other shows or take a hard to get to. But I think one thing they didn't care for is that he would always get through. Well, if he always get through things easy, he could learn skills easily, he could beat things easily. It felt like everything was too easy for him.
Which is silly, because when you get to the next season, you learn he's a tech master. He's really intelligent. He's brilliant at doing this stuff and creating software and things. So when you know that, it doesn't seem like he's perfect. He just really is great at what he does. And because he doesn't have a jerk personality, and he's trying to take everyone out, and he's trying to help other people, and he's valuing their lives, that makes him a bad character. I'm not sure what universe we're in now that suddenly being a nice character, being a strong character, being competent makes you a bad character.
Right.
So just go watch another anime.
Really? So yeah, for all the ones who are kind of complaining about the character, just quiet.
Yeah, just go watch something
quiet,
else,
please.
And leave it Sword Art Online Nuts, because we're loving it. And we're looking forward to season 3. We've seen 1 and 2. What I also really liked is, yes, although the first 4 episodes were kind of slow and all over the place, they did help establish what the rules of the game are. You got to see the equipment and the different things they can earn, and how they could earn them, and how they score points. So I think maybe, even though it was kind of slow and not helping you to stick with it, it helps you to establish the rules and the groundworks of the game.
Right.
I think that was really what it was about. And for you to see that Asuna was there, and she was going to end up being his ship.
And if you watch the season, like, it's 25 episodes. And it feels like they had like 2 arcs each. Like the first 13 or 14 episodes had them try to get out of the game. You were thinking that was the whole season.
Right.
But only half the season actually dedicated to that, because they find out who actually had done this to these people, because they wanted to play God and play with people's emotions cybernetically. And then when they finally get out of the game, then you have this new problem where they're in another game. Now it's not a Left 4 Dead situation where they can't get out. They kind of upgrade into like a sort of winged elf-like game with fairies and stuff, and all the similar issues that you gotta get this person out of there. But still, both parts of the season, both arcs, were still really engaging and really exciting, and had lots of action that you were afraid what was gonna happen next because of all the crap that was happening in the beginning.
And both arcs were also fantasy-based, so you had these beautifully animated environments. And there's a lot of detail paid to what was in it. I mean, you had in one part where they were in this house, and it was just so much detail to everything that was in it. And even when you were looking down, like they were flying in the air, and there was just so much detail paid to what was beneath them. It wasn't just some blanket animation, or you had, it was partially animated and you just use your imagination for the rest. It was blurred out. No, they played attention to detail in every single scene, in every part of the game, even when they were out of the game in real life, and the characters' designs, everything was just intricately created. And whomever did this really loves animation, because just the time that was taken, there's just so much time taken to make it come alive and to make it detailed and make it really feel like this environment really existed.
Yeah. And in terms of, the stories and the characters, sometimes you weren't sure if you should get attached to someone or not, because you never know who's going to get taken out next. You knew the main characters were going to be fine, and that was about it. I mean, everyone else was liability. You didn't know if you get like this character. Well, he's gone. You like this kid? Oh, he's gone too now. Like, okay, don't get attached to anyone. I got it.
And then you really don't learn much about these characters in season 1 because they're in the game. You don't learn about family and friends and things till you get to season 2, but you kind of can get hints at the relationships, which was brilliantly done by how they interact with the other characters, the things that they say. Like, for example, Kirito meets this redheaded character, and he pets her on the head, and he's real kind to her, and she's like, well, why are you helping me? He said, because you remind me of my sister. Ding, ding, ding. And little things like this happened all throughout it, where you weren't just flat out told backstories or information, but details emerge as the story unraveled, which I think was great and was brilliant, because when you got to season 2, then you were like, oh, okay, this is the person, oh, this is that, oh, she said this, and everything, you were familiar with it already, even though you hadn't been directly told about it.
Right. So that made a lot of sense. and when they would have the events that would make it start escalating, like when they got to a reveal of who's the one that trapped these people in the first place and put himself in the game because he had other twisted things going on that he wanted to do that we cannot really go into detail for this podcast due to YouTube censorship. But if you watch the
second
anime
arc,
right to that point in the second arc of the first season, you will see that the antagonist is truly an antagonist. There is no liking him in certain ways. There isn't a Lotar complex, Zuko complex, no type of complex
Zuko
where
was never a villain.
Right. There's no type of thing where you can see that, there's some good in them, or you like them because of so and so. No, they made sure that this character was completely and utterly despicable.
Yes, and they did it very well. And you immediately had those feelings from the first time he appeared on screen.
Right.
Yeah, they really love animation. They love writing. They love their jobs because it's brilliantly done. You disliked him immediately. And as you said, there was just no going back. Once you saw him and disliked him, that was it.
Right.
And he just kept just exhibiting behaviors and doing things that made you just dislike him more and more and more. And you wanted his butt gone.
Right. And another thing for Kirito definitely have to mention is that there is a little thing that some people get annoyed about, but it doesn't really bother me, is that usually every girl he interacts with or he helps out or something immediately starts to like him. Like, this is Pokemon with Ash. Like, that happens anywhere in some of these animes, so it's not really a big issue that I see with it. And there are some points where they think he wants something else and they prepare themselves, and then he's like, no, when I said I want to sleep over, I just meant to rest. Not what you think. And then they get pissed and slap him. It's like, why didn't do anything to you? Why did you get slapped for being innocent?
This is a wonderfully brilliant anime. If you disagree, I'm sorry. I really, really love it. We really, really love it. And we know from reading descriptions about season 3, it goes in a totally different direction from season 1 and season 2. So it seems like these are probably the most fun seasons. Yeah. I think season 1, even though with the premise that people died off, they had more, I would have to say, more examples of kindness and teamwork and so forth, and how they were developing. Now, they did have one group. There were murderers that were in this game, and somehow these people that were murderers in real life all got into this game and formed their own guild. And they had this...
They're called Laughing Coffins.
Yes, Laughing Coffins. And they had these tattoos. And they were not a joke. And they were happy to kill people off. It's what they were in the game for. And of course, anyone who was stronger, like Kirito, they wanted out of the game. And they were the part of this series that's the darkness. Yeah. They really are the darkness. So we can push them aside. Everything else contributed to growth and learning and teamwork. And Kirito himself seemed to be a centering presence because, again, the people seem to be just out to not get killed. Of course, that's very important. But they didn't care about whom they would hurt or betray to do it. But being around him and seeing that he was genuine and that he would give them articles he would find, say, no, you can keep it, or blah, 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 they began to really change how they interacted with each other.
Right.
Because of him. So he has this place within this universe.
Yes.
And he's to be that centering part. And I think that people who don't like him don't understand that is his place in this universe, in this game. And without him being there, the game truly would have gone probably in a much darker direction. There probably would have been a lot more people who ended up dying because his main goal was A, to get out of the game, and 2, for people not to get killed. And he kept stating that over and over, that he didn't want people to die.
Right.
So he's a great character. Really, really love him. He's definitely one of my favorites now. Every anime we watch, I get a new favorite.
Right. Oh, there is definitely one more thing we have to mention, is that when there is a little bit of a time jump in the game, because before, like between episodes 1 and 2 is a 2-year jump, and then it's about a couple months after a certain episode. They actually have this girl on there. They don't know where she came from. And she turns out to figure she's going to be important because every time they have some lost person in media to turn out to be an all-powerful character, she turned out to be an AI for the program.
Oh, Yuki.
Yeah, and she didn't like
Mommy,
she didn't like that the program's being made to take people out, and this was being made for her, and she sort of, like, in a way rebelled against it, and then it cast her out of the official program, and it did it so much that she forgot what she even was.
Yes.
So that was actually an interesting part of the show that even came up in the later half when they have the Elfheim online arc.
And it's so funny you mentioned that because ironically, she the Japanese voice actress who voices Yuki, her name is Aoi Yuki.
Yeah, it's like, what are the odds?
So we also want to mention there are some great voice acting cast members who appear in here. You have Matthew Mercer, you have Kellen Goff, you have Todd Habercorn, you have Stephanie Shea, you have a lot of people who appear, and you really just have to listen for them to know whom they are. But you've got a lot. I mean, Kellen Goff,
Kirk Thornton.
Yes, you've got a lot of people that make appearances throughout this season, and it's fantastic. And some of them even come back for the second season. So if you think you're hearing someone you know, you probably are.
Right.
So if you've seen Sword Art Online, whether you like it or dislike it, let us know what you think in the comments below and who's your favorite character. My favorite again is Kirito, and yes, I ship Kirito and Asuna.
Yes, and be sure to like, subscribe, click notification bells to get updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Who's your favorite?
Yeah, I think Kirito too.
No, he can't.
So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Hit her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you later on in the forest.